There's an invisible hormone switch that flips for many women around their mid to late 30s, and when it flips, it quietly speeds up biological aging. Not a dramatic event you can point to, but a cluster of biochemical changes. Protective sex hormone signaling eases off, inflammatory signals rise, insulin control loosens, stress hormones get louder, and the gut community shifts. Together, these forces increase cellular rust, drain cellular batteries, and let a growing number of senescent or zombie cells linger. The result shows up in skin that sags sooner, energy that drains faster, stubborn belly weight, foggy thinking, and a metabolism that feels like it's losing steam. In this video, I'll show you what that invisible switch actually does inside your body, and, more importantly, practical, evidence-forward food and lifestyle levers that may blunt the switch and slow those changes down. If you want the science-backed plan to push back on this midlife switch, subscribe now. I'm going to walk through the mechanisms and give a week-long starter plan you can download at the end. So, what exactly flips? Think of the switch not as a single button, but as a small electrical box in a machine. One wire weakens, another shorts, and suddenly the whole system behaves differently. Biologically, that box is a cluster of interacting signals. When estrogenic signaling steps back a bit, its protective effects on inflammation and metabolism are reduced. NF-kappa B, a major inflammatory master switch, becomes more active, raising cytokines like IL-6 that act like tiny smoke alarms, telling the immune system to stay turned on. Insulin resistance begins to creep in, making it harder to store energy efficiently. Mitochondria, the cell's batteries, run less efficiently and produce more damaging free radicals. The gut microbiome shifts in composition, which affects inflammation, hormone metabolism, and even brain signaling. Telomeres, the protective caps on the ends of chromosomes, can shorten faster under chronic inflammation and stress. Senescent cells accumulate and send out inflammatory signals of their own, like a neighborhood of abandoned houses attracting pests. Put all of that together and you have a biochemical environment that accelerates many hallmarks of aging. Want the fastest way to slow that down? Target the inflammation, support mitochondrial health, rebalance the gut, and give cells the building blocks they need to repair. Keep watching. How does this feel in daily life? You might notice your jeans fit differently even though you haven't changed your routine. Your face might look less plump, lines deepen, and skin seems drier. Mornings that used to feel like a charge now require coffee and negotiation. Concentration stutters. Energy becomes less predictable across the week. Mood swings or increased anxiety may appear where none existed before. These are common, and while they don't mean catastrophe, they are a signal. The internal chemistry has shifted, and it's nudging how your body looks and performs. Addressing the chemistry directly, not with slogans, but with food and habits that influence those pathways, can help quiet the inflammation, protect mitochondria, and support hormone balance. Ready for the targeted tools? Let's unpack 10 evidence-forward foods and compounds that act like levers on this switch, and practical ways to use them in your daily life. For each, I'll say what it targets, why that matters for the switch, and a simple, realistic way to include it. Blueberries, tiny, powerful anthocyanins. These compounds concentrate in the brain and blood vessels, calming inflammation there and improving microcirculation. Because the switch elevates IL-6 and other cytokines that affect brain fog and mood, blueberries work like a small daily noise-canceling headphone for neuroinflammation. Studies show anthocyanin-rich diets link to better memory and slower cognitive decline. They also reduce markers of oxidative stress that wear on mitochondria. Practical tip: add 1/2 to 1 cup of fresh or frozen blueberries to your morning yogurt, oatmeal, or smoothie. That 1 cup is a reliable, low-cost habit that targets brain inflammation and supports circulation, the kind of small move that chips away at the switch. Extra virgin olive oil, not just a fat, but a concentrated source of polyphenols and oleic acid that blunt systemic inflammation and activate longevity pathways. Olive oil works like golden oil for cellular membranes and signaling, helping reduce NF-kappa B activity and supporting healthy lipid profiles when used instead of processed seed oils. For the switch that leans toward inflammation and metabolic drag, olive oil helps by nudging gene expression toward repair. Practical tip: use extra virgin olive oil raw over salads, drizzle on steamed vegetables, or finished soups. Swap out a neutral vegetable oil for olive oil in your dressings, and you're making an anti-inflammatory statement at each meal. Green tea, a ritual with ECGC, a catechin that supports cellular cleanup and protects telomeres. ECG helps promote autophagy-like processes that clear damaged proteins and support mitochondrial function. And some trials suggest green tea intake correlates with markers of improved metabolic health. Replacing a sugary beverage with green tea gives you a thermogenic antioxidant boost that directly opposes the switch's inflammatory and mitochondrial stress. Practical tip: aim for a cup or two of brewed green tea daily, taken without sugar. Make it a morning or mid-afternoon habit, not only for the ECGC, but for the ritual of choosing a calming, restorative drink. Wild salmon and fatty fish, concentrated omega-3s and astaxanthin. Omega-3 fatty acids become crucial when insulin signaling loosens and inflammation rises because they give the body anti-inflammatory building blocks and improve mitochondrial membrane function. Astaxanthin, a pigment in wild salmon, is a powerful antioxidant that helps protect skin and cell membranes from oxidative damage. For the switch that drives inflammation and deteriorates mitochondrial function, regular omega-3 intake is a stabilizer. Practical tip: aim to include fatty fish like wild salmon, mackerel, or sardines a few times a week. If fish isn't your thing, choose other omega-3 sources like walnuts and chia for some benefits, and discuss supplements with a clinician if you're considering concentrated forms. Avocado, a creamy, satiny source of monounsaturated fats, vitamin E, and carotenoids that support skin barrier function and collagen-building processes. Because hormone-driven changes often show up first in the skin's elasticity and hydration, avocado supplies the lipid building blocks that help maintain a resilient epidermis. It also helps absorption of fat-soluble nutrients, which is valuable when you're pairing foods. Practical tip: add a half avocado to salads, smoothies, or on whole grain toast. Avocado is an easy swap that supports skin resilience and hormone-friendly fat balance. Dark chocolate, 70% cocoa, a modest, pleasurable source of flavanols that improve endothelial function and circulation and deliver a mild hormetic stimulus that strengthens cellular stress responses. The switch can worsen microcirculation and skin perfusion. Flavanols in dark chocolate help dilate small vessels and improve blood flow to skin and brain. Practical tip: enjoy a small square of dark chocolate as a treat a few times a week. Make it mindful and modest. The benefits come from quality, not quantity. Pomegranate and urolithin A precursors. Pomegranate polyphenols influence gut bacteria to produce urolithins, compounds that support mitophagy, the targeted recycling of damaged mitochondria. When the switch compromises mitochondrial efficiency, encouraging mitophagy helps cells renew their batteries and preserve muscle and energy. Practical tip: add pomegranate seeds to salads, yogurt, or mix a splash of pomegranate juice into dressings. Over time, feeding the right gut microbes helps produce beneficial metabolites that support mitochondrial renewal. Broccoli sprouts and sulforaphane. Broccoli sprouts are concentrated sources of sulforaphane, a compound that activates the NRF2 pathway, turning on the body's detox and antioxidant gene networks. For a system where inflammation is climbing and toxins may exacerbate signaling pathways, sulforaphane acts like a reset switch for cellular defense systems. Practical tip: include a small handful of fresh broccoli sprouts on sandwiches and salads, or lightly cook broccoli and finish with olive oil to preserve compounds. Even small, regular servings can support detox pathways and help tone down inflammatory signaling. Turmeric and curcumin, paired with black pepper, curcumin blocks NF-kappa activity and supports BDNF, a brain growth factor that helps cognition and mood under stress. The problem with curcumin is absorption. Black pepper's piperine acts like the key that unlocks curcumin for your body. For the switch that raises inflammatory tone and erodes cognitive resilience, turmeric plus pepper is a kitchen-level anti-inflammatory strategy. Practical tip: sprinkle turmeric into soups, rice, or a morning golden milk and add a pinch of black pepper. If you're considering concentrated curcumin supplements, speak with your clinician first, especially if you take medications. Fermented foods: yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha. These bring live microbes and fermentation metabolites that can recalibrate the gut. Because the gut microbiome is a regulator of systemic inflammation and hormone metabolism, restoring microbial diversity can lower IL-6 and other inflammatory markers in surprisingly short periods. Some clinical studies show measurable reductions in inflammation within 8 to 10 weeks of probiotic or fermented food interventions. Practical tip: include a small serving of fermented food once a day. A spoonful of yogurt or a quarter cup of kimchi with a meal is an easy start. If you have immune issues or are pregnant, check with your clinician before heavy probiotic use. Each of those foods targets a different part of the switch. Some quiet the inflammatory alarm, NF-kappa/IL-6, others shore up mitochondria and mitophagy, and several support the gut ecosystem that influences hormones and brain signaling. The trick isn't a single miracle ingredient. It's the regular combination that addresses multiple pathways at once. Small daily habits compound. Now a few practical combos and bioavailability hacks to get the most from these foods. Turmeric needs black pepper and a fat to cross membranes, so add it to olive oil-based dressings or to a recipe with avocado. Anthocyanins and polyphenols are best when consumed with a little fat for absorption. Pair blueberries with yogurt or a spoon of nut butter. Olive oil and leafy greens is a classic pairing. The oil increases absorption of fat-soluble carotenoids and polyphenols. Green tea is an easy swap for sugary drinks. When you choose brewed over bottled sweetened beverages, you reduce insulin spikes that feed the switch. Pomegranate and fibers from whole fruits feed the gut microbes that produce urolithins, so eat the seeds or whole fruit rather than just juice when possible. For fermented foods, integrate them into one meal per day to start, on salads, bowls, or with eggs, and watch for improvements in digestion and energy within weeks. A few realistic expectations and safety notes. None of these foods guarantees reversal of aging, and results will vary by individual genetics, environment, and medical history. Some inflammatory markers can shift within weeks to a couple of months. Skin texture and energy may take longer, weeks to months of consistent habits. If you're pregnant, breastfeeding, on blood thinners, immunosuppressive drugs, or have chronic conditions, check with your clinician before adding concentrated supplements or large amounts of new fermented products. I'm not recommending pharmaceutical doses or medical prescriptions here, just practical, food-first interventions and lifestyle tweaks. If you're considering packaged supplements like high-dose curcumin, concentrated omega-3s, or probiotic formulas, bring that question to your provider so they can assess interactions with medications and personal health factors. Here's a simple, realistic micro-action you can try this week. Swap your usual cooking oil for extra virgin olive oil at one main meal per day, and add a half cup of frozen or fresh blueberries to your breakfast 3 mornings this week. That small change introduces 2 powerful anti-switch ingredients, polyphenols and anthocyanins, and it's easy to sustain. If you want one bolder step, include a small serving of fermented food with dinner every night for 7 days and notice how digestion and energy respond. Small, consistent steps are how you change the chemistry over time. If you'd like a ready-made start, download the free 7-day anti-switch meal plan in the description. It lays out breakfasts, lunches, dinners, and snacks that combine these foods into manageable meals. Use it as a template, not a rule book. Personalized based on preferences, allergies, and clinician advice. Remember, the goal is steady, cumulative pressure on the pathways that drive the invisible switch. Reduce inflammation, support mitochondria, rebalance the gut, and give your cells the building blocks they need to repair. This invisible hormone switch is real as a pattern, but it's not an unavoidable fate. With focused, science-forward food choices and small daily habits, you can quiet the inflammatory alarms, shore up your cellular batteries, and push the internal balance back toward repair and resilience. Start with one swap this week, track how you feel over the next month, and build from there. If this resonated, download the Week 1 plan below and subscribe for more practical deep dives. The switch may be invisible, but your next move doesn't have to be.